And then, lads, welcome back to Cossy podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. Now, Arsenal have signed their priority signings of the summer. Declan Rice is done. Julian Timber is done. And Kai Havertz as well is done. So, what is next after signing these three? What will Arsenal do in the next days of the transfer window? Because we still have a whole month and a couple of weeks left to the window. In this video, we're going to be diving into Arsenal's next steps, including Jeremy Frimpong. Arsenal have already opened talks to sign Jeremy Frimpong, according to outlets in Germany. And Moussa Diaby is a player we cannot rule out, according to Ben Jacobs as well. So hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well, and let's dive into our next steps as we conclude the priority signings of the summer. Now, it has been confirmed, first and foremost, that our business is going to focus more on sales rather than incomings. It is a window where we've decided that incomings will come first and then outgoings will come later. It is a strategy that Ed has used over the years, even last summer, as I remember. We did a lot of incomings initially, and then a lot of outgoings, in the later stages of the window as well. Now, there is a lot of advantages and disadvantages to this one. The advantages is that you get to pay lower fees for players, earlier on the window as compared to later on in the window. That is in my opinion. I look at Julian Timber and I look at Lisandro Martinez, and I think if Man United had signed Lisandro Martinez earlier on in the window, or if they had signed Anthony earlier on the window, they could have had better fees and they could have paid much less than they paid for those players. And that's what Arsenal are trying to avoid. We're trying to sign players during the right period of time, and during a time when we still have a lot of time, one, to traverse through our options, but also to walk away if a deal is not favorable to us, and then do another deal that seems a little bit favorable and even better. So what we've done here is we've gone to these clubs, West Ham, Chelsea, and Ajax, and told them we have interest in player ABCD, and if you love to give us such a player, this is how much we are willing to offer. Now, because it's early in the window, you don't have these early bidding wars. You don't have so many clubs that have not yet scouted well. They have not yet decided to splash the cash, and there are not so many clubs that are actually desperate to splash the cash everywhere. That's why you see no one actually rivaled us for Julian Timber. Only Real Madrid were willing to rival us for Kai Havertz and maybe Bayern, but none of them was willing to pay up to 50 million, and it was only Manchester City that paid up to 90 million for the services of Declan Rice, and when we outbid them, they actually walked away. So it's a strategy that has actually worked very well for us, because we get to sign up players early in time, for them to join preseason, for them to become part of the squad, but then also to sign them for fees at a time when we are not desperate. And the clubs that we are negotiating with know we have a lot of time. That is number one. But then we have a lot of options as well, and we can go and sign other players as well. So our market is now going to focus on outgoings after the signing of those three. Arsenal will focus on bringing some money back, and probably that could propel us to go and get some, maybe 2 or 3 more signings, depending on the amount of time we have and the amount of money we also have. Now, according to Football London, Arsenal are looking to raise over 150 million in player sales only in the next coming days and weeks, to make sure that we can finance all the other moves that have actually not been, done. Now, remember, Arsenal want to sign 2 central midfielders. We've only signed 1. We also want to sign at least 2 defenders. We've only signed 1, and we also want to sign at least a forward. We've not brought in a forward at the moment, if you want to consider Kai Havertz as an attacking midfielder. So there is still some time to do business, and there is some business to be done in terms of incomings for Arsenal, but we will need the money. So in terms of outgoings in the next week, I expect Nicola Pepe to be one of the players that will be shown the door. I really think he's been already shown the door. We're just struggling to find who can buy him, and we're just struggling to find how much are we going to get from him, and probably who can take on his wages. When Arsenal sign a player, or any club sign a player for 72 million euros, they tend to give you that big wage. They tend to give you that humongous wage. And I think that is the problem between Arsenal and Nicola Pepe. Now, I've already said it before, and I'll say it again. We cannot terminate the contract of Nicola Pepe. We can't terminate his contract. If players like Kalidou Koulibaly, if Chelsea are getting money out of players like Kalidou Koulibaly, we can get some money out of Nicolas Pepe. Whether that means that we sell him to France, whether that means we sell it to Saudi Arabia, I don't actually care, right? But we need to get some money out of Nicolas Pepe. It is one of the right steps to this, one of the right things to do. Sell him before he can walk on a free. Don't terminate his contract. It will be absolutely very, very poor negotiation and very poor business for Arsenal. So I think Nicolas Pepe would give us around 15 or even less than 15. Chelsea have let go of Christian Pulisic to AC Milan, and they only got 22 million euros, and that includes add-ons. Okay, that means that certain add-on clauses have to be triggered for them to get the right amount of money. So I think Arsenal could do the same thing. We could get a club, tell them, Nicolas Pepe, 10 million, but you will have to give us 5 million euros in add-ons if he can score maybe 20 goals in one season. Something that he's capable of doing, but we will also have to choose the league where he goes. Rob Holding is the other one. I think it's time for him to leave. Florian Balogun is another big asset that Arsenal will get big money out of, with talks on Sky Sport claiming that Arsenal are looking at around 50 million euros for Florian Balogun. That is not bad money. Like, you think about all the players we've lost, all the players we've sold. I don't remember Arsenal selling a player for 50 million. Okay, if Arsenal can sell Florian Balogun for 50 million, that is good business. Cedric Soares can live on a free, but of course he cannot live on a free. We are looking for more money. So I think if Arsenal can get around maybe 10 million or even less than that from the sale of Cedric Soares, that's going to be fine. And Edin Ketia, if Arsenal are really serious about signing a forward and bringing in a player that can compete favorably with Gabriel Jesus, Edin Ketia is one that can also be seen through the door. So that is what our business is going to focus on in the major parts of the next week. However, we will do some incomings, and we will be talking about some incomings as well. And let's start off with Jeremy Frimpong. Now, Jeremy Frimpong is a player I talked about yesterday. Arsenal in talks to sign Jeremy Frimpong. But according to Florian Plettenberg, the Sky Sports Germany reporter, he says there is nothing hot, there is nothing heated going on at the moment. Yes, Arsenal have inquired about Jeremy Frimpong, and we have had discussions with Bayer Leverkusen and also on the player side to sign him, but Arsenal really do not have a lot of invigoration going on. They don't have a lot of vigor in this deal. It is actually Manchester United who are actually eyeing the situation of Jeremy Frimpong, and that will depend also on Qatar getting the club. So Jeremy Frimpong is a player that plays at right back. We've talked about him yesterday. Dutch international, plays at right back. Very electric. You could play him as a right wing back. You could also play him as a right back in a back four as well. He would be a nice addition, in my opinion, to Arsenal, because we don't have a proper right back in this Arsenal team. Alexander Zinchenko also is not a proper left back, but at least we have Kieran Tierney, who you can term as a proper right back, especially in games where you're going to play maybe Liverpool at the Anfield, maybe Manchester United away at the Old Trafford. It would be much better if we played Kieran Tierney and then Julian Timber at right back. That gives us a lot of defensive options, and that gives us a lot of defensive solidarity and a much better shape, especially against the top wingers in the Premier League. So Jeremy Frimpong is a name that Arsenal are discussing internally, and also is a name that is coming and topping the charts when it comes to Arsenal's next signing. I don't think everything is hot. I don't think anything is actually hot, just like Florent said, but let's keep an eye on this one. The next one is Moussa Diaby, still at Bayer Leverkusen. I don't know why we are really linked with players at Bayer Leverkusen, but Moussa Diaby is one where our interest has been absolutely solidified for the last 3 years. Now, he's a player that is looking for a new club this summer. And Ben Jacobs has been speaking about his situation, and he said you cannot rule out a deal for Moussa Diaby to Arsenal. He's a player they've admired. He's a player they looked at for quite some time, and he's a player that they would love to sign eventually. So when you think about all those things, when you think about Frimpong and think about Moussa Diaby, there is some degree of interest. The interest in Frimpong and the interest in Diaby is concrete. It is real. It will depend on whether Arsenal are going to act on this interest. It also depend on how much we are willing to go and work on this interest as well. So there are times when you want to sign a player like Moussa Diaby, but then you don't have the budget. I don't know how much Bayer Leverkusen are going to be asking for. Probably 50, probably 60 million euros. If Arsenal are willing to spend upwards of 50 million euros on a forward, I think Moussa Diaby is a good shout. However, if I don't think Arsenal will go for any other signing above the region of 30 million euros. I don't see Arsenal go in the market again this summer and sign another player above 30 million euros. But hey, Moussa Diaby, player to look at, player to watch out for, linked with Arsenal for quite some time now. And for me, this summer would be the right move. Like, this summer would be the right one. We've talked about him for a very long time. Otherwise, he's going to become your Housem Owadale, where he eventually runs his deal out and you see him at Roma, right? Like, when I saw Housem Owad join Roma, I was like, what the freak is even going on here? What is even going on here? We wanted this guy for 3-4 years, and then he eventually ends up at Roma with Arsenal not even showing any interest. The same thing with Yuri Tillemans at Leicester City. He's now at Aston Villa, but we wanted him for quite some time, and we didn't get the deal done. So for me, Moussa Diaby, if Arsenal really want him, it's time to get him. It's a player that would actually benefit us rather than being a risk, in my opinion. If you've given a chance to Reece Nelson, I highly reckon Balogun, Nketiah, Emil Smith-Rowe, and Reece Nelson, I think those four will leave Arsenal eventually. I think the standards that have been set by Mikel Arteta, everyone talks about how good the team has become, but the team has become good because of the standards the manager has actually set. And I think the standards that we have set do not cater for Balogun, Nketiah, and the likes of Reece Nelson. Now, I think with Emil Smith-Rowe, there is a discussion to be had, and there is a debate to be had because he's one of my favorite players, and I think he's really talented, and I think he's really gifted. But can he be consistent, and can he provide that good stuff every single week? That will determine whether he can play in this Arsenal team every single week or actually not. The other name is Aurelien Tchouameni. Tchouameni could actually be up for grabs this summer as Real Madrid are trying to raise money to sign Kylian Mbappe. This is a story that really doesn't make any sense still. Because one, if Arsenal really wanted Tchouameni, then we wouldn't have signed Declan Rice. Like, to be honest. Secondly, Florentino Perez has already said that the business at Real Madrid this summer is over, with Joselu being the last incoming at the club, and I think, was it Marco Asensio or anyone else being the last outgoing. So Madrid are confident they will get Kylian Mbappe next summer for free, so they don't have to panic around and do emergency buttons, press emergency buttons just to sign Kylian Mbappe. Now, financially, Madrid might not have the money, might not have the financial resolve to sign Kylian Mbappe after signing Jude Bellingham in this summer. But I think Madrid knew. Madrid absolutely knew. I think there is a constant and very protected line of communication between Real Madrid and Kylian Mbappe and about his future, where he's going to go and when he's going to join them. So I don't think Kylian Mbappe is going to force Madrid into selling Aurelien Tchouameni. I know Mikel Arteta is a fan of Aurelien Tchouameni, and so is Jurgen Klopp, and so is Pep Guardiola, and so is Mauricio Pochettino, and so is everyone else in a top job at a top club. Tchouameni is your top midfield dynamite. He's your top midfield, ball winner. And that means that Madrid also want him. And that means Madrid really understand the importance of having a player like Aurelien Tchouameni, an elite ball winner, an elite midfield breaker, an elite move breaker. So I don't think really Tchouameni will end up at Arsenal. Like no way near. Have they ever thought that Arsenal will end up signing Aurelien Tchouameni? It's a deal that doesn't make any sense. It's a deal that has been rationalized just to make us feel good about it. That Madrid want to sign Mbappe, therefore they need money. Why do they need to sell Tchouameni? Why not Camavinga? Why not Rudiger? Why not everyone else? Why Aurelien Tchouameni? It comes from the fact that there is a world where people believe that a player who has not played for, who has not had a good season, and he actually signed for big money, is actually going to be out of the door. It doesn't work like that. We've seen Cristiano Ronaldo go there. His first season maybe not the most fantastic, but in the end, the club legend as well. So for me, I would say this: Tchouameni, next signing, off the table. And I'm going to give you my reasons why I think Olu Tchouameni is much better at Real Madrid than at Arsenal. But anyway, that is what our business looks like, and that's what we are looking to do in the next weeks, days, and probably a month and a half. I'll see you right in the next one.